My guest, Dr. Francisco Contreras, has a hospital that cures people with cancer whom medical doctors have given up, no hope left. Next on this edition of It's Supernatural.
Centuries have come and gone, offering wisdom and understanding throughout the ages. Today there should be nothing beyond one's power to discover, and yet the strange, unusual, and mysterious world of the supernatural defies understanding. Stay tuned for a unique and powerful investigation into a curious, undiscovered universe only on It's Supernatural.
Hello, I'm Sid Roth, your investigative reporter. I'm here with Dr. Contreras. He says that with their alternative methods in Oasis of Hope, a hospital in Tijuana, Mexico, that people are living 30 to 35 years longer, and people with incurable cancer that doctors have totally written off are getting cured. Dr. Contreras, sometimes there are people that would say, I don't want to live 30 or 35 years longer, being a vegetable, being in a nursing home, because people are living longer, but not living at good quality lives.
I agree with you. Unfortunately, now that our lifespan is longer, we spend about 20 years of being sick, and that's where it's no fun. But if you are enjoying life and you have quality of life, you want to go on forever. And that is what I'm worried about, is providing quality of life for an indefinite period of time.
So when you're saying someone can, but using your methods, someone can live 30 to 35 years longer, you're saying live 30 to 35 years longer with, like it says about Moses, at age 120, his eyesight was fine, his strength was there. Are you talking about that?
That's what I'm talking about, and that's enjoying life. Otherwise, then, you know, we start getting ready to go home. But if we can enjoy life, for as long as we enjoy life, we want to be here, no question about it.
Okay, now, what is the difference between what you do, and I can tell you as a fact, my regular medical doctor, actually, I've recently switched, but the person that used to be my regular medical doctor, I would bring up alternative medicine, and he'd look at me like I was, there's a Hebrew word, mashuga, like I was crazy. So what is the difference between what you're doing, maybe philosophically, and what is normally done in medicine?
What separates our hospital from many other hospitals in the world, especially in oncology, is that we do not worry about the tumor itself, about the cancer itself. What we try to do in our hospital is provide our patients with resources for them to heal themselves. And that's just exploiting creation, exploiting how our body was built. We were built to heal ourselves. And the reason why we get sick and we cannot recuperate health is because of lack of resources. Resources at the physical level, resources at the emotional level, and resources at the spiritual level. As long as we take care of those three spheres of our lives and we provide our patients with resources, they're going to do much better than any of the other medical ministrations that I can do to them. I'm not saying I never do surgery, because I do. I'm not saying I never give them drugs, because we do. I'm not saying we never offer them any medical scientific venues, because we do, and they're good for them. But I can operate a patient, I can remove a tumor. But the problem is that the tumor is going to come back because I didn't go to the root of the problem, which is lack of resources. And that is what has brought...
No, excuse me. You say lack of resources. What do you mean by that?
Well, most of us think that we were developed to eat just to entertain ourselves. But we eat to provide the specific nutrients that our body needs to function. For instance, a car, if you don't use the proper gasoline, is not going to function correctly. And most of us now are not putting in our bodies the nutrients that our body needs to function correctly.
Okay. That's a totally different way of looking at things. I can tell you, coming from a Jewish background, I find great satisfaction and comfort in eating. I enjoy eating.
Yes.
I really do. So are you going to make it very uninteresting?
No. I think that God has given us so many options to enjoy food, but the problem is that we are exploiting our new lifestyle, which is of conveniency. so that because it is convenient for me to go through a drive-through and eat junk food and taste good, I am changing that conveniency for taking properly care of my body.
What's wrong with junk food? What's it going to do to my body if I eat junk food?
One of the main things is what it doesn't do, which is it doesn't provide any of those nutrients that you need. It provides a number of chemicals, preservatives, because all the fast food is pre-cooked, chemically prepared before it's cooked. So it's not providing vitamins, minerals, phytochemicals in the amounts that our body needs.
And if I don't have it in the amount my body needs, what happens to my body?
Then we are going to get sick. And that's why most people now live up to almost 76 years old, but 20 of those years are riddled with diseases.
What is your medical background?
I'm a surgical oncologist.
And where did you study?
I studied in Vienna. I did my 5 years of surgical training in the University of Vienna in Austria. And before that, I did medical school in Mexico. And before that, I did my pre-med in the United States of America.
Now, you're very critical, even though you say you use drugs, you're very critical of many drugs. You're very critical of many things that traditional doctors do traditionally.
Yes.
What is going on in our hospitals? I hear about medical mistakes.
Well, now it's finally coming out into the public's eye, the enormous failure that we are as doctors. And I say that with sadness and respect. Medicine nowadays has become the #3 cause of death in the United States of America. Only cancer and heart disease kill more people than doctors.
That's quite a statement. Did you hear that? Medicine is a cause of death, the thing that's supposed to help us. Boy, have I got questions, and if you got questions, we'll be back right after. 35 years more quality life if you take care of this wonderful vehicle called the body that God has given us. Be right back after this. Hello, YouTube, Mishpocha. Mishpocha is a Hebrew word. It means family. This is Sid Roth. Welcome to my world, where it's naturally supernatural. If you've been blessed by this show, please subscribe. Then click the bell so you won't miss a single episode of It's Supernatural. Hello, Sid Roth, your investigative reporter. I'm having such a fascinating conversation. I hope you come in and join us with Dr. Contreras. This second generation medical doctor has a bone to pick with traditional methods of medicine. I couldn't believe the statement he said. In the United States of America, the #3 cause of death, the third reason for death, the highest reason for death is medical mistakes. Actually, prescription medicine is the third reason for death.
Yes.
That's hard to believe. What about we have the FDA in this country. Certainly they...
And I think they do an incredible job. The problem is, and this is not me saying, okay, it was published in the JAMA, which is the Journal of the American Medical Association, that 106,000 people die every year from correctly prescribed medications. A correctly prescribed medication is when I diagnosed you correctly, gave you the right medication at the right dosage, and you took it correctly.
Why?
Because drugs are very, very dangerous. They're very potent.
But when I go to a pharmacy, they give me, in the United States, a sheet of paper that says these are the possible side effects, and I know everything about it. Are you saying there might be something more than that paper I read?
A lot more. And 300 years ago, a very critical man that I don't like very much, but he said something very true. Voltaire said, the reason why doctors are such a failure is because they give medications of which they know little about, against diseases of which they know less about, to patients of whom they know nothing about. That is the problem with medicine. You spend 5 minutes with the doctor, you give him, you know, a few tips, and then you go out with a prescription. And that is very deadly. And so I feel that instead of giving medications to my patients, I need to find out what's really wrong with them. And basically what's wrong with most of us at this time and age is our nutritional status.
Tell me, I was reading in your book, you talk about the basic cells and how they die and then they're replaced. Explain that to me.
Well, the cells are entities very similar to us, and they are going to develop according to the elements that they get. You know, for instance, we know that in America, people are taller and probably better looking than in other countries because they don't have as much food. But the quality of food is also very important, not only the amount. And in America, for instance, you consume about 10 pounds of chemical preservatives per year.
And what's wrong with 10 pounds of chemical preservatives?
Well, the only people that are worried are morticians, because they're finding out that you never decay in your graves. But it's a very bad trade for you to stay in your grave fresh as a lettuce forever, but die young. And all due to all of those chemicals, all of those chemical preservatives that you're eating.
Now, we export something that our scientists have told us is carcinogenic.
Yes.
It's called DDT. It's for fertilizers
Yes.
And we export this, and it's a poison, and then we import food from these other countries that has these poisons
still DDT.
in it.
And DDT is an old one, but most of the new type of chemicals that are being used in agriculture are carcinogenic. Just look at the farmers and how they handle the pesticides. It's as if they were going to the moon, because they're extremely toxic. And that is why the rate of cancer is so tremendously high in America. Right now, in the United States of America, half of the men will develop cancer in their lifespan.
Half?
Half. And 40% of women will develop cancer in their lives.
And you believe it has to do with what we're eating?
It is completely related to our lifestyle. Two things. We eat the wrong things, and we do not exercise. If we would change those two things, the incidence of cancer would drop tremendously. And they don't cost anything, and you don't need to go to the doctor for that. So in my view, the biggest killer is not really doctors, it's ignorance.
Now, a woman has a lump in her breast. She's worried. She goes to a doctor. They say, they do a test. It's cancerous. They then they cut the breast off. Then they do radiation or chemotherapy. How would you perhaps differ from, that's the cycle that I see.
Yes.
How would your alternative differ from that?
Well, 25 years ago, we stated that lumpectomy was a much better treatment than a mastectomy, and we were called quacks at that time. Now, fortunately for women, more and more doctors around the world are doing what is called conservative surgery, where they conserve their breast because they only do lumpectomies. Thereafter, if a tumor is small enough, my position is that we shouldn't do any radiation or chemotherapy.
Why?
Because they are both carcinogenic.
Yeah, yes, but what I understand is they're worried about the spread of the cancer,
Yes.
and they do the tests of what is that under the arms?
The lymph
The
nodes
lymph
and all
nodes.
of those.
And what if they do the test and they say, well, it looks like it's spread. Our only option is chemotherapy or radiation.
Well, chemotherapy in very long studies has not proven to prolong the life of patients.
So why do so many people take it?
Unfortunately, especially in America, doctors are very tight-handed. They have to follow protocol and they have to do these things. We have found in our experience that when we change the lifestyle of our patients and improve their dietary intake, and especially if we are able to change their mental and spiritual status to that of doom and gloom to a positive outlook, then our patients live much longer than the ones that took chemotherapy and radiation therapy.
Well, this is so different than what you hear in your average doctor's office. Let's find out exactly what he is recommending to eat. what would give us 30 to 35 years more quality life. Be back right after this. Hi, Sid Roth, your investigative reporter. I'd really like to find out who our guest is next week. Janie, who's on?
Sid, you'll be speaking to a Jewish man who is in high demand as a motivational speaker. He was very successful. He had a house in Hawaii surrounded by the ocean. Zig Ziglar wrote the foreword to one of his books, but then one day he lost it all and was on the verge of suicide. And then something supernatural happened in his life.
Now, was it true that this man studied in Israel in a yeshiva?
Yes, he did, because he thought at one time that maybe he would be a rabbi.
I'm looking forward to this guy. Thank you, Janie. Dr. Contreras, just before the break, we were talking about chemotherapy, and what about radiation? This is done with cancer. What do you think of that?
Definitely. There are a number of cases where radiation therapy can be a blessing to a patient, especially when there are very, very large tumors, for instance, in the chest that are not allowing you to breathe, and you need to reduce the size of that tumor in a very short time in order to save the life of a patient. But it has been proven that both radiation therapy and chemotherapy can only be helpful in that sense, reducing tumor mass fast, but it doesn't prolong the life of the patients. And in fact, it destroys all quality of life.
Now, is it true that when doctors give a death sentence because of cancer to a patient, and they come to see you, and they've been given just weeks to live or months to live, 30% of them, 5 years later,
are still alive.
Are still alive. What do you do with them that a normal medical doctor doesn't?
I think that the main thing we do, first of all, is to sell them on the idea that they're not dying. Because when you buy
But they are dying.
While we're alive, we're not dying, okay? They think that the cancer is going to kill them. You see, the stronghold of cancer is fear. That's the biggest problem that a patient has. And when there is no hope, there is no endeavor.
Physiologically, what happens to the body when there's fear and no hope?
The immune system drops dead before you do.
Isn't that interesting?
And it's measurable. There are studies from universities here in America that show that, for instance, 1 minute of sadness and of anger will deteriorate the quality measurably of your immune system for 6 hours. 1 minute.
Really?
And
so what happens if someone has a half-hour knockdown fight with their wife?
Imagine, or that you had your job and you're always
your
out.
boss.
Then your immune system is always down.
That's very dangerous.
That is very dangerous. That's also one of the reasons why there's so much sickness in countries like this. So when you are able to help your patients emotionally.
So that, I mean, you said one side of the ledger is if you have this stress, what devastation. How about the other side of the ledger?
The other side is
loved?
that if you are loved or if you laugh, 1 minute of laughter will increase the capacity of your immune system for 24 hours.
That sounds better than vitamins.
So that's what we start doing at the hospital. They have criticized us tremendously for sitting with our patients and just telling jokes and laughing and singing. Music is another very potent immune stimulating agent.
I thought they were laughing at your singing.
Both. But that's what we do. We get together with our patients and we start changing their attitude.
How important is attitude compared to even the nutrition, what you're taking in?
I think that attitude and nutrition are the most important factors in our life, and probably attitude even more than nutrition. But if you don't put, the right stuff in your body, it's not going to work. It's not going to function. You first have to do the natural, forgot to do the supernatural.
So all right, you take care of the emotional side. How about the physical side? What do you do?
The physical side, of course, we're going to use nutrition. We are going to use anti-tumor agents, but there are plenty of natural anti-tumor agents that don't have to destroy the quality of life of the patient. You don't have to be vomiting all the time. You don't have to be losing your hair, feeling terrible. There are natural anti-tumor agents. Vitamin A, for instance, is a very powerful anti-tumor agent. Laetrile has been, criticized tremendously. It's a completely natural anti-tumor agent.
But the attitude that we have here in the United States is it's quackery.
Unfortunately,
from the newspapers
and everything, but there are a number of studies around the world that show that it has value. You see, the problem is that a lot of people say that we say that it's the cure for cancer. It isn't. It just has value, and it should be in your arsenal against cancer. And another very powerful anti-tumor agent that we use at the Oasis of Hope Hospital is prayer. Because as I said before, we can only do the natural, but God will do the supernatural. And I strongly believe in my heart, as a surgical oncologist, that we are experiencing miracles. That when your attitude changes and then you have the hope, God will do miracles in your life.
I'm going to put you on the spot right now. I want to know what you eat. What do you eat for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, basically?
What I recommend to everybody is to stick to the foods pretty close to how God put them on this earth. Fortunately, in America now, the fastest growing business is the organic food, meaning that it's food that is not manipulated. Beef as well as vegetables. And for you to consume...
So you're not a complete vegetarian?
I'm not a complete vegetarian, but I eat
That's
little meat.
different than what I hear a lot of alternative
I
people
will
say.
recommend most of my cancer patients to be vegetarian. Why? Because cancer will take advantage of that animal protein more than of the vegetable protein. But for the rest of the population, just make sure that that your amount of vegetables is much, much higher, 3 to 5 times higher than the amount of animal protein, including everything, and that it's organically grown, because it's really the chemicals that they're putting into the animals and into the food that's killing us. And in that way, you will be able to live those 30 years longer, just by changing your nutrition and doing exercise.
Why does the government allow chemicals to be put into our food that's killing us? I'm using your quote.
Yes.
Why?
Because it's money. The organically grown foods are going to be attacked more by bugs because they're wholesome. As a rule of thumb, if you put food somewhere and bugs don't eat it, you don't eat it either.
You know something, you could scare a lot of us. It's almost like everything out there is carcinogenic.
Of the million elements, chemical elements that are around us, and at least in every room there's about 173,000 chemicals. More than 60% of them are carcinogenic. That's why there's so much cancer. But the ones that we put in our bodies are the most important. So buy organically grown food.
Unfortunately, our time is out, Dr. Contreras. Thank you so much. But did you hear something that he said? Fear is one of the biggest enemies to your body working the way God created it to work. The Bible says God has not given us a spirit of fear, but of power, love, and a sound mind. I say to you that fear is an enemy. And you do not have to play games with an enemy. The Bible says, resist the enemy or resist the devil and he will flee as in terror. So the next time you have a thought, I'm going to get cancer, I'm going to get a heart problem, I'm going to get any of these thoughts that are bombarding your mind all the time, stop those thoughts. You say, how can you stop them? Resist. Fight it as if it's an enemy, as if it was someone coming to you with a knife in their hand, ready to stab you. You're going to resist. Resist the enemy, and there's only one name you can resist the enemy in, and it's the name of Jesus, that every knee must bow and every tongue must confess. I have found this to be truth in my life. The name of Jesus is bigger than any weapon formed against you. Come to know the God of love, not the God of religion, the God of the Bible. He's a God that loves you and is putting supernatural, I can feel it, peace inside of you. You resist that fear and stand and watch the salvation. It's the deliverance of God. He's real and He loves you, and there's purpose and destiny for your life.